in a series called Homework, and we've talked about some pretty weighty matters related to marriage and parenting, communication, finances. Today, we're going to talk about an issue that I think is very, very important for every single family. And it's an issue that we're going to kind of walk through and look at some different parts of the Bible and how it helps us to formulate a view of fun. And if you have children, or you plan to have children at some point in the future, the great thing about having kids and having a family and doing your homework is fun often happens by accident. Fun will often find you, and that's a healthy thing. I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, my wife wanted to go camping. She loves to camp, loves to go camping, just one of the evidences of the fall of mankind in her life. She loves to go camping. I actually enjoy camping. I've got a really nice tent I stay in. It's called the Hilton. Anybody else camp like that? Anybody else got that tent? Yes, represent. Okay, that's how I like to camp. Now, my wife, she wants to actually buy a tent. Why? I don't know. She wants to live like it's 1492. And so, no. We kind of meet in the middle. A couple years ago, she found a yurt. Any of you familiar with a yurt? That's what I said when she said, it's kind of like a combination, not really a tent. It's not, like you walk in, it's got air conditioning, it's got a little kitchen, but it's kind of like a weird thing. I don't even know. It's just it's a yurt. It's a yurt. Of course it's weird, right? No one names something a yurt and it's normal. And so it's kind of like a little hybrid camping thing. All right, so we're going to go camping. So we go camping. We're having a good time. So, all right, what are we going to do? So we said, let's go kayaking or canoeing. There's like this place you could rent some canoes. So we get 2 canoes. Now, I've got 2 girls. I got 2 boys. So the girls were in one canoe with my wife, and I had the boys. And we're strolling down the river or stream or whatever it was. And after 30 seconds of this, I'm bored. And I'm thinking, row your boat gently down the stream. If you flip the girls' canoe, you can hear them scream, right? My favorite nursery rhyme. So I'm like, all right, guys, let's get up next to the girls. Let's make this happen. Oh, yeah, the boys are in. So we get up. This is the best part. We're trying to sneak over to the girls' canoe. Okay, not possible. We get there. They know what's coming. My girl, no. Well, you know what happened? Over the boys go. Okay, I don't know how it happened, but we lost. We're trying to flip them, and we go over. Now, here's what happened. We go over into this little river, and my youngest son, who at the time is probably 7 years old, something like that, he starts flailing around. His life is coming to an end, okay? And we flip over. We had stuff in the canoe. Everything's now in the river, including all of us. My youngest son, he doesn't know what he's doing. My wife's panicked. It's just that moment, like, oh, no, get him, Corey, get him. And so I'm like, oh, no. So I'm like, I'm going over, We don't have the swimmies on or nothing like that, So I'm like, all right. And we're like, oh, no, I'm losing him. Okay? I'm thinking, is my life insurance paid up on this kid? I don't know what's going on. Okay, I get over there to him. He's flailing around. Middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Sharks all around, okay? I don't know what to do, okay? I get over there to him finally, and I feel something on my leg. We're in 2 feet of water. I'm going all David Hasselhoff on this kid, thinking I'm saving his life. I get over there to him, and I just said, hey, put your legs down there, big boy. Stand up. And he stands up. The water comes up to his waist. You would have thought the kid was dying, literally, right? Oh, we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And, there's the funny part of us going over, and then there was the especially funny part of this kid thinking he was losing his life in 2 feet of water. And we still talk about that to this day. And I think, all right, if that kind of stuff is going to happen, I can deal with a yurt. If for no other reason, I owe my wife and my girls a little payback, Sometimes in the context of family, you're doing things, and fun finds you. And things happen you don't expect, and you laugh about it, and you talk about it really for the rest of your lives. What I want to lay out for you today is a reality of fun and leisure that is honoring to God and really beneficial for you and your family. In other words, I'm making the case today that kind of situation that I just described is essential for every family. We all need a healthy balance of work and labor and also love and leisure. There needs to be balance in our families. And we've talked about some pretty weighty things throughout this series, and this is an important issue that is often overlooked. I think there's two reasons for this. Number one, some of you come out of a generation where, maybe your parents went through the Great Depression. Or maybe, you were raised in such a way, it's like, man, you're gonna work extra hard and you're gonna be the first person in the office and the last person to leave kind of thing. And maybe you kind of come out of a mentality of where, family is secondary to work and career and accomplishment. And there's been a generation of Americans where that's largely been true of. And what's happening now is we're dealing with millennials who, and I know it's hard for some of us to understand, millennials who value authenticity and personal relationships more than financial freedom. There's a whole generation now of Americans who would rather work fewer hours, have more freedom and flexibility, have stronger relationships and more leisure, even if it means they don't have the highest income. And there's a disconnect sometimes generationally with that sort of thing. The second reason I think this topic's important is because sometimes even within the Christian culture, we get the mentality of, everything needs to be serious and weighty and intense. We get burdened for our culture. We get burdened for things. And sometimes the way that plays out in our families is we don't connect a lot relationally, personally. We're not invested as we should be. We don't have fun together. We don't enjoy rest together. And everything's so intense and everything's so serious that it really drowns out some things in a child's life that is critically important. So I think there are several reasons why we need to think through God's design for family, God's design for fun. Because here's the thing we need to understand. When it comes to our kids, when it comes to our grandchildren, we need to be personally invested. There's no substitute for personal investment. Kids see quality time as quantity time. There's no, hey, I'm gonna give them my leftovers and we'll make it quality time. It's gonna be quality time. No. For a child, especially a young child, quality time is quantity time. There's no substitute for personal investment. So what I wanna show you today, this is kind of my key takeaway if you wanna jot this down, is that we ought to be very zealous to cultivate what I call a museum of memories. As we're raising our children, as we're investing in our grandchildren, one of the goals needs to be that we're developing a museum of memories. And here's the thing, a museum of memories is built on a foundation of joy. A museum of memories is built on a foundation of joy. Now, I'm gonna connect all this together here in just a moment, but I just want that thought to be in your mind about the importance of joy, rest, and leisure. Now, leisure is not a word we use very much in our vocabulary, but I looked it up, and here's the technical meaning of the word. Freedom provided by the cessation of activities. Leisure is the freedom provided by the cessation of activities. And every single one of us need a balance of work and leisure. Our families need a healthy balance, an ebb and flow of instruction and discipline and work and leisure. Now, let me give this one clarification so I'm not misunderstood. I don't want anyone to misunderstand me. I'm not excusing laziness or irresponsibility. All right, my takeaway here is not, all right, just be lazy and don't work and just stay home all the time with your kids and have fun and play Xbox and you are right in the middle of God's will. No, there is something your kids also need called food. And the last time I checked, food is not free. So I'm not saying that laziness or irresponsibility is the solution. That's not what I'm saying at all. In fact, I believe that fun and efficiency go together. So I'm not talking about just put aside all your responsibilities, blow off your responsibilities, be lazy or irresponsible. No. I'm saying there needs to be balance in our lives. See, some of you maybe are a little bit more sanguine, like I am, and you're ready to have fun at the drop of a hat, and the work can wait. Some of you have a different personality type. Maybe you're more melancholy or something along those lines, and you cannot have fun until all your work is done. Now here's the thing. We all need to learn balance. Listen, if you're more melancholy, it's like, I can't have fun until my work is done. Sometimes you have to understand you can't get everything done, and you don't want to miss the forest for the trees. Listen, if you're married to someone like I am, like a sanguine, who's ready to drop work at the drop of a hat, hey, let's go have fun together. Listen, here's a little tip for you, especially ladies, those of you maybe not yet married. If you marry a sanguine, let me just give you a little preview on how a sanguine does laundry, okay? Men learn this in college. A washing machine is optional when doing laundry. You just need a really good dryer. You set that puppy on 10 minutes, get the wrinkles out, spray the clothing down with a little bit of Febreze. It's basically the same thing as washing it. A little bit of Febreze, get those wrinkles out. It looks like it's been washed. It smells like any scent you can pick out in the grocery aisle, and you're good to go. So here's the thing. Maybe you got a certain personality type, certain way of doing things. We all need balance. We all need balance. That's what I'm espousing today. Not laziness or irresponsibility, but neither should we be so focused on all that we have to do and all that we have to teach and all that we have to correct that we fail to take the necessary time that's required to connect in the context of leisure and rest. And so balance is what I'm arguing for and what I think is so very important. And one of the reasons, I'm gonna take you back to Exodus here, one of the reasons that God has built into the order of creation a day of rest. All right? Let me show this to you, Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11. Right in the heart of the Ten Commandments. Here's what it says. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you will labor and do all of your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you will not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord God made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and he made it holy. Now, let me say a couple things about this. First of all, we know that in Jesus, the Sabbath has been fulfilled. Now, spiritually speaking, listen to me. We don't climb a ladder to get to God. Our works are not sufficient to get us to God and to secure eternal life for us. We can only have salvation through Jesus Christ and his work on our behalf. And Jesus told us, didn't he, that for those of us who are weary and heavy laden, we go to him and he gives us what? Rest. Spiritual rest. Jesus forgives our sin. He gives us his righteousness and he secures eternal life. In fact, if you're here today and you've never put your faith in Jesus for the forgiveness of your sin and the hope of eternal life, I encourage you to do that today. I'd love to connect with you after our service today because, listen to me, there's no more important decision in all the world than that, to connect with Jesus Christ, to turn from your sin and to embrace his free offer of forgiveness and grace. Jesus came to give us rest. And so this is why we don't have the kind of Sabbath customs and traditions that the Jewish people had. No, all those things pointed to Jesus. So we worship one day a week corporately, but Paul tells us, the Apostle Paul in Romans 12 tells us that we ought to be living sacrifices on a daily basis. And so Jesus is our Sabbath rest for our salvation. But hear me also on this, that kind of second part of this. Notice though, in the order of creation, God has also built in a day of rest from our labors. Out of the 7 days of our week, the 7 days that follow the pattern and the order of creation, there is a day when we need to rest. Individually, we need rest. We can't go 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That won't work. We'll burn out. Now, God has ordered within the structure of creation a day of rest, the need for rest that ultimately is to show us our need for him and the rest that we ultimately have in Jesus Christ. And so here's the thing. Individually, there are days and there are times when we need a break. We need rest. There are seasons, I would even say, as a family, when we need to connect in the context of leisure, not neglecting our work and our responsibilities, but having a focused time where we're spending time together as a family and we're resting together. We're enjoying one another. We're doing fun things together. This is something that follows the order of creation. Now, let me give you a couple of reasons this is so important for your children. Those of you who have them now, or you have grandchildren now that you're influencing, or those of you who in the near future you plan to have kids. Listen to me. Our children need a healthy counterbalance to all of the instruction and the discipline that we give them. Have you ever thought about this? I thought about it preparing for this talk. Have you ever thought about the amount of instruction that you give a child? I started writing some things down, literally. I wrote down so many things, it became impossible to recite them all without it becoming the entire message. So here's just a few I thought of. I mean, just off the top of my head. Think about how many times I say some of these things every single day, okay? Do your homework. Take the dog out. Feed the cat. Take out the trash. Change the litter box. Pick up your toys. Get ready for bed. Brush your teeth. Wear your seatbelt. Put your shoes on. Lean over your plate. Chew with your mouth closed. And I'm not even getting started. It's barely getting started. Think about as a parent, how many times you have to instruct or discipline your children. It's an overwhelming amount, right? And these are just the things I can say publicly. Listen, for those of you who don't have kids yet, trust me, you'll appreciate this one day. If you have boys, you will probably utter things that you would never now think would come out of your mouth. Things like, no, son, you can't go to the bathroom in the tree in the backyard. I think that's against a lot of HOAs. Am I right about that? I read a mom's testimony not long ago. Here's what this mom said, literally. She was getting on her toddler. This is exactly what this mom said to her toddler. Get the spaghetti out of your toes and put them into your mouth. Only a parent can fully appreciate that. Mom said, now in my mind it made sense. When I said it, it sounded disgusting. What I meant was get the spaghetti in your toes out entirely and eat the spaghetti on your plate in your mouth and not with your toes. Put it all together, it sounds a little bit weird, frankly. But parents say weird things because we're always instructing or disciplining our children. Let's see if some of these things ring a bell. Maybe going back to your childhood. Just some common things parents tell their children. I'm gonna count to 3. Do as I say and not as I do. Money doesn't grow on trees. Well, life's not fair. If your friend jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge too? You're gonna poke your eye out with that thing. And then my all-time favorite, this will probably hurt you more than it hurts me. At least that's what I tell my kids. Well, my parents told me, no, it's gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. No, I know that's not true. Hey, back when my kids were little, it's gonna hurt you more than it hurts me. That's a fact. That's just a fact, right? All right, so think about all the things we tell our kids and how often we say them. It's constant instruction. It's constant discipline all the time. Now, hear me on this. When you're following God's design for rest and leisure, it creates a beautiful counterbalance to where you have personal time investing in your kids, having fun with your kids, communicating your love to your kids, so that when you have to instruct them, which is all the time, when you have to get on them, when you have to shape them, when you have to discipline them, then what happens? Then there's a balance there to where, as Ephesians 6:4 says, we're not instructing them and disciplining them so as to exasperate them. And so that's a reason I think it's really, really, really important to incorporate leisure and personal connection as part of the routine of family. And for those of you maybe who struggle with seeing the forest for the trees, let me give you one example in the New Testament that just reinforces the importance of taking time to focus on the most important things. It comes out of Luke 10 with Mary and Martha as they were spending time with Jesus. It says, now, as they went on their way, Jesus entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she went up to the Lord and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? I love this, the ultimate tattletale. She goes to Jesus with her sister right there. Lord, are you not gonna say anything to her? She's being lazy. I just love that little sibling rivalry. And then Jesus said, Martha, Martha. That's another parent trick, by the way. Jesus kind of teaches us that, the important, when you get the double name or the first name and the middle name, or in my case, the wrong name. And then you eventually get to, you cycle through all the names of your family members, past, present, and then you get to your kid. So Martha, Martha. Something important is following here, okay? He says it twice. Martha, Martha, you're anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the good portion, which will not be taken away from her. Now, what I love about this is is, of course, Jesus is not discounting the importance of work. Jesus is elevating time with him above the responsibilities that Martha was so anxious about. Because Jesus understands there's a day coming when he will no longer be on the earth. And of course, Mary prioritizes this time with Jesus, and Jesus says this is the right thing to do in this moment because there's coming a day when he will be gone and Mary will only have these memories with Jesus. And Jesus understands, here's the point, that these immaterial things are far more important than the material. That time together, those memories together, the impact of that togetherness is far more important than making sure at that particular point in time that those responsibilities are done. So here's the thing. A museum of memories is built on a foundation of joy, and children need a healthy balance in their lives, not only of instruction and discipline, but also of love and leisure. Now, second takeaway here is that teachable moments often happen through just the normal course of life. That's why I want to encourage you. Make it a priority to spend time together as a family where it's just you guys. It's a vacation. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It's a weekend getaway. It's just a day at Kings Island. It's a day at the Reds game. It's something. Just build into the rhythm of your family time for personal, normal, fun interaction. Because so often teachable moments happen there. And personal engagement leads to meaningful discipleship. Let me take you back to Deuteronomy chapter 6. I've referenced this passage before in this series, but it's helpful again here. These are the words that I command you today that will be on your heart. You will teach them when? To your children diligently. When? When you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. In other words, all the time through the normal course of life. I'm asked on occasion, hey, how should, as a family, we structure, some devotions or some family worship? And I think there ought to be at least one night of the week you come together as a family. Maybe it's over the dinner table. Maybe it's a special night of the week, one night of the week where you're praying together, you're talking together, maybe you're reading scripture together. I think that's important. But listen to me. I don't think you should have to have the pressure that every single night of the week you're reproducing corporate worship. Here's my suggestion to you. You have one night a week where as a family you have a prayer time together, a connection time together, and it's focused on the word, and it's focused on prayer. And then listen to me, make the most of teachable moments that happen through the normal flow of life. Especially as your kids get older, they get into the teenage years, those teachable moments and those conversations that happen through the normal course of life are so impactful. We're to talk about how the gospel and how God's word and will applies to our lives through the normal course of life, as we rise up, as we lay down, as we sit in our house, as we walk by the way. Listen, as we build in a steady diet of instruction, discipline, also love and leisure, it increases the impact of these conversations. That's why Ecclesiastes 3 tells us there's a time to weep. There's also a time to laugh. There's an ebb and flow to life. We need to make sure that these routines are built into our family, that we have these periods of rest, these periods of leisure, where we're investing personally in our children and our grandchildren so as to disciple their hearts and lead them to love and to follow Jesus. Now, let me give you 3 positive impacts that I believe this will have, and I'm gonna give you some scriptures here to undergird what I'm saying. I encourage you to take these down. 3 really positive things that family fun, family leisure will produce for you. Number 1, it will encourage you and your children. It encourages. Man, building this into your DNA, building this into your routine, having times of leisure, times of fun, where you're laughing together, you're having fun together, you're making memories together, it will encourage you greatly. Listen to me, some of you might say, you know what, I just don't have time. I've got so many commitments. Well, here's the thing, you're always gonna have commitments. You're always gonna have responsibilities. You're always gonna have burdens. You're always gonna have anxieties, but you will not always have a 4-year-old. You will not always have an 8-year-old. You will not always have a 16-year-old. You get one shot at this thing. I get one shot at this thing. You can't go back and redo it. There are no gimmies. There are no mulligans. You will always have burdens. You will always have responsibilities. You will always have excuses. You will not always have a 5-year-old. And when you build into your routine a commitment to personal engagement, personal investment, to love and leisure that's a balance to discipline and instruction, then what happens is there's a foundation of joy that is so encouraging to you and your children. Because listen to me again, the most important things in life are immaterial, not material. You can build a beautiful, stunning house, but at the same time live in a broken home. Listen, you can have all the material blessings that money can buy, but not have very much value in your life. I'm saying the most important things are not material, they're immaterial. And cultivating a culture of joy is important, and it has spiritual implications in the lives of your children. Now here, let me just be straight up honest with you. As a parent, especially those of you with young kids, you plan to have young kids in the future, listen, this is a commitment to doing some things that you absolutely do not want to do. I present to you as Exhibit A, Dora the Explorer. Oh, why my kids were raised in the era of Dora, I have no earthly idea. How I miss the days when my kids were young of just straight up violence with Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner dropping anvils on each other's heads. Oh no, when my kids were young, every cartoon had to have a point. It had to have a, moral component to it. And there was Dora. Now, I got nothing against Dora. She seems like a sweet girl, okay? I got nothing wrong with Dora. No problems with Dora, okay? But have you heard the songs? You can't get them out of your head. It's miserable. And my kids got hooked on Dora early on. My girls, Dora, Dora, Dora the Explorer. On the Map. Have you heard that one? Boy, that was a genius of writing. On the map. Here, if you don't know this, literally, I'm not making this up. On the map, 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 on the map. Wow. Albert Einstein must have written that bad boy. Was that Mozart or something? Philip, who wrote that? Was that you? I cannot tell you how many hours of my life have been wasted with Dora the Explorer. Polly Pockets, anyone? Remember Polly Pockets? When I was a kid, we had cool stuff. Star Wars, G.I. Joes, He-Man. I'm talking again, back to violence, okay? Polly Pockets, my girls, Polly Pockets. They're like smaller G.I. Joes, but prettier, and then they can change their outfits all the time. They don't do anything. They don't come with guns, okay? They don't come like with play sets. You just buy the little people and then you change their outfits tirelessly. My parents, hey, what do the girls want for Christmas? Polly Pocket outfits. Here comes a big package of outfits. Fantastic. Polly Pocket outfits. You know how many times I sat on the floor? Oh, that's so cute. Honey, that one is pretty. Wow, the Disney collection. Oh, she looks just like Belle. Oh, man. Oh, can I just go play golf? I just want to leave, right? Now, here's the one that tops them all. The Wiggles, really? Exactly, the Wiggles. If you don't know who they are, don't look them up. You don't... I think, of course, they come from England or something. I mean, the Wiggles. Somehow my kids got hooked on the Wiggles. I don't know, probably their mother, the influence of their mother. Oh, it's just, wow. I don't even know what to say about the Wiggles. But I remember going to the beach one year, having fun at the beach. There's the CD, the Wiggles, playing in the van. Why? Because I'm a parent and I have no life. That's why. I could be listening to a lot of other things. No, it's the Wiggles. It's the weirdos. I mean, there they are. Can't come in through my speakers in the van, right? I mean, just think through as a parent. Okay, all the things you do. I just want you to know if you don't have kids yet, when I'm talking about the type of personal investment where you're having fun together, where you're laughing together, you're balancing all the instruction and all the discipline. Here's what that means. You need to get down on the floor and you need to commend the beautiful Polly Pocket outfits or whatever is out there today. I don't even know what it is. You're gonna do some things you would rather not do. But here's the thing, you get one shot at this. And here's what happens. When you cultivate that environment of love and laughter and fun, man, your kids thrive in that. Because especially when they're little, that's how they're receiving your love. It's your involvement, it's your investment. Listen, a 4-year-old could care less about the size of his or her room. They care about how much time they get with mom or dad. And in a culture of fun and leisure and rest, built into the DNA of all the other things, man, it's just so very important. It's encouraging to your children, to your grandchildren. Second thing, listen, family fun not only encourages, it heals. There's a healing power to laughter and to happiness. Let me give you 3 Proverbs here. It's just foundational to this whole thing today. Proverbs 17:22. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Let that sink in. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs 12:25. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. Proverbs 15:13 and 15, a glad heart makes a cheerful face, but by sorrow of heart the spirit is crushed. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but the cheerful of heart has a continual feast. You know what I'm saying? There needs to be balance. And ebb and flow, instruction and discipline, love and leisure. Hard work, dealing with the anxieties of life, the burdens of life, and rest. Time away where you're connecting with your spouse and with your children. I heard a story by one of my favorite pastors, Adrian Rogers, who's since gone to be with the Lord. I heard this many years ago. I've never forgotten it, and I never will. He was talking about a time where his family was headed on vacation, and his son was, in the back seat, and they were cruising down the interstate, and at one point his son rolls down that back window in the car, and as you know, it kind of makes like this huge noise, like an air tunnel, and it's loud, and it can hurt your eardrums. And so Dr. Rogers said, hey, David, put that window up. Window goes up, of course. He was a little kid at the time. 2 minutes later, window comes back down. So then Dad gets like the elevated voice, hey, I said, put the window down. Or put the window up, put it down, put it up. Window goes up. A few minutes later, rolling down the highway, window goes down a 3rd time. And Dr. Rogers said, at this point, yeah, he's angry. If you're a parent, you've been there, right? And then probably the clenched jaw, that dad tone of, you have a very short amount of time left on this earth kind of thing, And so here they are, supposed to be having fun, headed out on vacation. Window goes down once. Hey, put the window up. Window goes down twice. Hey, 3rd time, boom. He yells at his son, hey, I said, get the window up. And I forget exactly what he said, but basically, if you touch that button again, it will be the end of it. I'm sure, don't make me pull this car over. I'll pull the car over. And Dr. Rogers said, man, the whole mood of the car changed. It was just like, oh man, Dad's upset. Everybody's just kind of, man, Dad got angry. Dad yelled. Dad, maybe said something he shouldn't have said. And then, a few minutes later, the window went down a 4th time. And Mrs. Rogers screamed back to her son, David, what are you doing? At that point, everyone's fearing for their lives, right? When Dad's that upset, right? We've all been there too, right? What are you doing? And all of a sudden, Dr. Rogers just started laughing. He's the one that put the window down the 4th time. He got his son. I got him. And he said, when everyone realized that Dad had done that, man, the car just erupted in laughter. And here's what he said. This is what I've never forgotten. He said, and in a moment, all that tension in that car melted away. Now, it shouldn't have taken, 3 times for the son to not put the window down. But the point was, the way he reacted to it so strong in that moment, it just created tension. And what was it that eased that tension, got everybody back on track? A little bit of laughter. Just a little bit of laughter. I'm telling you, if you will intentionally build into the DNA of your family rest and leisure that's appropriate and God-honoring and fun, if you'll learn to laugh, if you'll make the most of humor, if you'll take advantage of these teachable moments and these accidental moments of fun that happen in the life of a family, listen, it will not only be encouraging to you, it will be a healing agent for you because a joyful heart is good medicine. Lastly, thirdly, family fun endures. It endures. It encourages, it heals, and it endures. Let me just shoot straight with you here, and then I'm done. When you reach the end of your life, and I reach the end of mine, our children and our grandchildren will be focused on their memories. because that's all they'll have. That's what's going to be most important to them. I do a lot of funerals. I talk to a lot of spouses. I talk to a lot of children. I talk to a lot of grandchildren. And I can tell you without doubt that the number one most important and precious thing to a grieving family member are happy memories they have together. It's a means of healing and enduring. Because time together is what is most valuable to us. That's why, years ago when we all had photo albums, you would see surveys. If your house were on fire, what's the first thing you would grab? And everyone said, photo albums, my pictures. Well, what are pictures except memories? They're memories. Listen, life is most importantly about the immaterial and the spiritual, not the material. And at some point in time, the memories that we have and the memories that we share will mean the most to us. And what I'm saying to you is cultivate in your family now time together, personal investment that is not only instructional and incorporates discipline, but that's also loving and has leisure and fun and laughter as a part of that, so that your memories that you're leaving behind, this museum of memories that you're building up right now, it's fun, it's loving, it's encouraging, it's healing, because they will be enduring. Life is about building a museum of memories. We remember lots of things about our lives, where we lived and what kind of cars we drove and all of that, but we love to remember happy memories. That's what we love to think on. That's what we love to laugh about at family reunions. That's what we love to talk about at Christmas. It's what we love to laugh about at Thanksgiving. We talk about the times in our lives when we were together and something happened that was fun or funny, that was meaningful or impactful. These memories are a museum. And here, listen to me, a museum of memories is built on a foundation of joy, delighting in the Sabbath rest that only Jesus can provide. Delighting in the rest that God's built into the order of creation, and having a healthy balance of work, of discipline, of instruction, and also of love, leisure, joy, and laughter. We need a healthy balance in our families for things to function properly. I remember one time, my brother and I, we made our mom mad. And I don't remember what we did, but it wasn't good. The only thing I remember is driving down the road that led to our home in a Chrysler LeBaron going 70 miles an hour on a 35-mile-an-hour road. It felt like 150 miles an hour. And every so often when my family gets together and something happens, sure enough, hey, you remember that time Mom almost killed us? Don't make Mom mad. Now we'd say that jokingly. I don't know what we did. I'm sure we deserved a whole lot worse, and just wait till you get home. And we got home fast. Oh, I remember that like it was yesterday. And you know what? So often when you're together, what do you talk? You're talking about those times, those moments. Maybe at the time it wasn't so funny, but looking back on it, it's a memory. Maybe it was fun. Maybe it was funny. Maybe it was something meaningful. Here's the thing. God's designed you to have periods of rest. You need to rest. You need leisure. You need time where you're pulling away, unplugging, and you're delighting yourself in Him. And as a family, you need that too. Balance between instruction, discipline, work, labor, anxiety, burden, and also love, joy, fun, leisure, laughter. And as you incorporate both of those things into your family, into the rhythm of your life, no doubt you'll see a museum of memories built on a foundation of joy that is encouraging, healing, and enduring. That's the goal.